All right, y'all. First and foremost, give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the Son, the Hamashiach. Some call Yahawashai, Yeshua, Yehoshua, Yahushua, Yasha Yah. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. We had a, I was watching Cross the Line the other day. Not Cross the Line. I'm sorry. Car Chronicles with Captain Tazaryach. I think he start doing this every day now. And a poly situation kind of bled out on the show. Meaning that a sister ends up calling in, pleading for help, pleading for counsel, on a situation she's having with her husband, inside of the poly life, part of inside of the poly lifestyle. And this isn't just gonna be an attack on poly. This is gonna be us looking, like I say, a lot of times one of my main issues is that we don't eat the whole roll. We kind of pick and choose what we want to take from our forefathers' lifestyle. And of course, there's certain things we just can't do. And to an extent, we really can't do poly, lawfully. In this country, it's illegal. But it's done. It's certain ways around it, and it could be the same thing with certain other things too that we don't deal with within the text. And there's several examples. We can go into the, if your father, hold on, if your mother, no, if her husband dies, if your brother dies before he has a child, you are to go inside of his your sister-in-law to give him a child, a boy, so that he could so that those or a child. I don't know if the specifics are there, but I just it's as far as inheritance wise, it would seem more likely that it would be a boy. But there are situations where inheritance have gone to females. In the case of Moses, those 5 sisters pleading unto Moses in the wilderness. Yeah, but that law with the, you going into your I don't see many lessons on that. I don't see us teaching that or saying, hey brother, we got to get used to that and da 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 da. Anyway, and there are several other things, and then we're gonna read Exodus 21. It's gonna be a little enlightening for those. Just take your pre-notions off and let's just read the text. But this is a short little clip here from this Captain Tazaryach situation. 3-minute video, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with your brother.
Done to us. We don't hate Arabs because they're Arabs. It's the things that they've done to us. That's why. The white man enslaved us. I'm supposed to love him for enslaving me? That don't make no.
And even with that statement there, we got to take accountability, y'all. All right, we signed the covenant. We signed the covenant and said we were going to do these things. And if we don't do these things, there are things that's supposed to happen to you if you don't do these things. We agreed on this covenant. That's why the Joel, I want to say it's like 3:1, but it's a verse in Joel. We use it all the time. Can 2 walk together? It's 2:3. It's somewhere around there. Can 2 walk together unless they be agreed? That was the Lord talking to Israel. Like, man, I wouldn't have to slap you around if you didn't make the agreement. But you signed the covenant. You made the agreement. And that's why I'm here and I had to put my hands on you. But had you not made the covenant, we wouldn't even be in this situation. You wouldn't have to deal with this judgment I'm about to put down on y'all. But we made an agreement. We're under a covenant. And we have to stop and understand that the Most High is moving all pieces. All creation belongs to him. He controls every piece on the board. And if that piece did something, come on, y'all. You just think the Lord didn't do it. You think the Lord just said that. And if he want us back in the land, he gonna take us back in the land. But we got to take some self accountability with this thing too, man, and understand it's our fault. We did it. We the reason that we in this position. Our forefathers, well, us too. I ain't gonna see that was stupid for me. Just trying to take it to my forefathers. Right? No, man, I was probably more wicked than my forefathers. Anyway, but yeah, man, we have to take some accountability. Stop just throwing stuff at folks. Hey, man, you know. Man, them Babylonians came and conquered it. Man, the Lord made them do that. The Lord made the Egyptians do that. The Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. Anyway, man. And until we take that accountability, we going to keep running into these situations and trying to point the finger. When we the ones, we need to be pointing at ourselves. We the ones to blame. And I can keep going on and on with that, man. It's just like you know, with the split happening, you know, it was a Rehoboam. I think Rehoboam was with the southern kingdom and Jeroboam went with the north. Then he told him, man, I would have gave you everything. I might have them names mixed up, but y'all get what I'm saying. The northern kingdom, the Most High told him, hey, man, I would have gave you everything, man. I gave y'all the kingdom already. I gave you the, you know, he can't blame that on nobody but himself. Because he sat there and listened to those elders. Instead of listening to the people. Anyway. Let's keep going.
No sense. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Monica. I'm calling from California.
How you doing, Monica? You got a question or comment?
Well.
All right.
Yes.
What's up?
I'm looking. Yeah. So my husband is, my other one is in the truth. And I was not in the truth. Like, we didn't come together. I kind of just followed behind him.
Was y'all together before he came in the truth or after?
After.
Okay, so he was already in the truth and then you met him while he's an Israelite. But you wasn't. Okay, got you. Go ahead.
So we didn't go through, well, I won't go too deep, but what I wanted to point on specifically is
You said we didn't go through. What you didn't go through? Hold on.
So we didn't go through, well, I won't go too deep, but what I wanted to point on specifically is I came in understanding, you know, the multiple wives and accepting that.
Hold on one second, sis. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Caller, hold on.
She came in knowing.
Okay, continue, sis.
Yeah. My thing is, do I have any place at all as a wife, as his helpmeet in any way to try to help him in choosing otherwise?
Great question. Great question. Do she have any control, any say-so as a helpmate, as a wife, in helping him select the next wife? Does she have any control? Does she have any say? According to the Bible. Oh, snap. I knocked my mic down, slobbing. Hold on, y'all. Let me go back.
As his helpmeet in any way to try to help him in choosing otherwise.
And the voice trembling. And the voice could be trembling because, you know, she talking to Tazaryach, never met the man, and it's a sensitive conversation. Or, you know, she could be in her feelings. Could be an emotional thing with the voice trembling, and she might be a little teary-eyed. But she going through something.
Because I've noticed that...
Caller, hold on. You said you noticed that. You said you noticed that your husband what?
He be talking to hoes, like he be entertaining hoes, and I'm like, it's disturbing because, and I'm talking about strippers. I'm not
point blank. I'm talking about strippers. He be talking to hoes. I'm trying to bring hoes to the house. Now I don't know. I'm just saying we don't know that. That's speculation. Well, he be talking to hoes. I noticed, but how she noticed? How would she notice unless she in the club with him? Or like, how would she notice that he's talking? That she's talking to strippers?
Talking about a woman who
when you say
maybe
you made a point to say earlier that your Ottawa, is he in ISUBK or is he outside of ISUBK?
Currency.
Which one?
He's in ISUBK.
Okay, so here's what you should do. What you should do is you should get off the phone with me and call his camp leader. That's what you could do as a wife. What you could do as a wife is call his camp leader and report him. That's what you can do.
And report him. How y'all feel about that? And that's why I was asking. I asked some videos ago, but how much control should a camp or organization have over your marriage life? Now, basically, it's a counsel situation. I don't know how where he's trying to make it seem like a counsel will fix this, and it might. It might. I don't know how their organization is structured and how one would, but if it was that structure, he that's what I'm saying, man. People fear people more than they fear God, because the Lord should keep you out of a strip club. The fear of the Lord should keep you out of a strip club. All right. But they fear men. So evidently he don't have the fear of the Lord, but he may have the fear of his camp leader, his leader that's in charge, or Captain Tazaryach. Because watch what Captain says next.
Okay.
That's what I would do. If you're saying he's in the school and this brother is dealing with hoes, for sure, we don't allow that. So you should call his camp leader. And he cannot tell you that you cannot call your camp leader. He cannot tell you that.
You a man, and your wife is done going to your camp leader and going to the, telling them, hey, y'all in the poly world. And she going to your camp leader and saying, hey, man, so-and-so bringing these hoes home. And and then sisters too. How do you when you go into an organization like that, or you go into a camp leader, which is men, that's why a lot of these sisters are crying out online. They're learning online is where these things are gonna be spoke on. They're going to get more justice online than they're going to get inside of those councils, because there is no woman's voice there. And I feel that's strategic. Also, what I'm saying? If that leader can bring his rib in and try to help this sister with dealing with, the courting process of your man going out and bringing different hoes home. Why you feel like they hoes? And the sister said, hey man, these are strippers. And then on the other end, what is the captain expected to do? To throw you out of the school? Does throwing him out of the school stop the hoes? If the fear of the Lord don't stop the hoes, the fear of the getting thrown out the school stop the horse? And it possibly could, because like I say, these people fear the Lord. They fear man more than they fear the Lord. They fear man more than they fear the Lord. They fear the judgment of men. And when I say judgment of men, they fear little videos like this. They don't want, bro. They'll threaten your life doing a little video like this because they don't want to get seen a certain way in the months of men. They don't care what the Lord see. And it's probably a lack of faith. They don't really believe. Honestly, truly. Brothers out here teaching ain't no eternal damnation, ain't no hell. Ain't nowhere that burns forever for eternity. We got to talk about that, y'all. Y'all got to remind me. Y'all willing. We'll get to it.
You can call and get the report, and then we'll investigate if he's with hoes. It can only be one or two things. Either you're jealous of him getting women, or he's with hoes, and we'll find out.
Right.
But that's what I would do, sis.
Okay.
And then what? That sister probably loves this brother. She loved this brother. For her to call in like that and all emotional about this thing, she loved that brother. And she don't want to leave. And, you know, you mess around and kick him out of school. And that sister will. What you gonna do? Take the sister and remarry her? Yep. I ain't saying they do that. I'm just speculating. You know, kick a brother out of school and then marry her off. We've seen plenty of that. We have many records of that throughout this Israelism. Seen a brother from the old school that it happened to that was on FOPE. I want to say earlier this year or late last year. Giving his story on how somebody gave away his wife. Anyway, y'all, you know, we're going to get into this Exodus 21, but I just want to y'all hit the comments and let me know what y'all think. You know, what's supposed to happen? What are we expecting from a council? And all these councils need to be online now. I feel like all of them need to be online. Especially with what's going on, and let the people judge. Huh? You need to, just like the court system today. You can't just bring in people, you know, it's a you know, where they can be in the respect of persons. And a lot of you jokers in these councils are going to be found guilty for that. You're going to be standing in front of that darn judgment seat and be found a respect of persons. That's a sin, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No problem. And if he tells you that you can't, you could tell him Captain Tazaryach said to call your camp leader and report it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Next.
You see what he said there? And if your captain don't do it,
camp leader and report it. Or he's with hoes, and we'll find out.
Right.
But that's what I would do, sis.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No problem. And if he tells you that you can't, you could tell him Captain Tazaryach said to call your camp leader and report it.
Tell him Captain said. That's why she called up there. Man, she already know that. She probably already done talked to that brother. Like, where do you get to the point where you just randomly, where's a sister at mentally? Where my sisters at? Where's a sister at mentally? Where she just skipping over the line. She knows. If she listen, she up there called him Adawan. That's how he knew that it was ISUPK, because she said Adawan. You know, she was using that Lashawan Kodash to talk to her husband, Adawan, instead of Adonai, Adawan, to reverence her husband. And that's one of their things. You know, I've seen even brothers, you know, call other brothers Adawan, you know, in respect and reverence. But it's a telling, you know, it's a telling sign. It tells where you from. If a sister is saying that, very hard for a sister to say, "My Lord." It's very difficult. You're not gonna see that a lot. Even if you bring sisters, I done seen sisters come in and they you know, they sitting around the table, man, and one sister say Adawan, but the other sister kind of, well, not Adawan, but she say "My Lord," and she call him "My Lord." Is that enough? Are you finished? You know, and then, you know, she can take the plate or whatever, and it may make sisters, I done seen it make sisters uncomfortable. So for her to do that, you know, she in there. She in there. She's listening to tape and she's being taught the doctrine. All right. She's all in. And so I don't think, you know, like I said, I think she really loves that brother, whoever that brother is. And on the flip side, that could be why she calling them hoes, you know. She might have just heard that this one was a stripper or whatever the case. But we definitely see some similarities to the Gorilla Hebrew situation. It's just getting similar. And you keep walking down this aisle, and if it is similar, you need to draw that brother in and really watch that brother, really monitor this brother before he goes down that same rabbit hole, that same lustful hole. Anyway, let me go ahead and go to the scriptures, because I know that's what y'all here for. My folk here, they here to see these scriptures. They here to hear the scriptures. Let me go here. Are we transitioned in? Yeah. All right, y'all. Exodus 21. Now let's read this thing, because Exodus 21 is one of our favorites. Those in the poly world, and I'm saying that I'm using that lingo for a reason, because that language comes from one of the biggest advocates for the poly worlds. But and shout out to my brother, man. I don't want no smoke. But I just want us to slow this thing down. Shouts out to, man, the IUIC, Captain Amaziah. I give IUIC a tough time, but I give him credit when I can give him credit too now. But I seen him break this down, and I was like, my goodness. We just gotta read. We just gotta read the text. Let's start at verse 1 now. It says, now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Okay, you see the he there? That's a male Hebrew servant. He can't be there 7 years. On the 7th year, you got to get him up out of there. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. So if you come in the way you leave out. All right. If you came in by yourself, you leaving by yourself. You come in with a wife, then you can leave with your wife. If his master has given him a wife, and she have borne him sons and daughters, the wife and her children shall be her masters. They belong to the master. You working on that plantation, and that brother gives you, and that your master gives you a wife, those children and that wife stay with him when that 7 year come up for you to leave. Because then, back then, they weren't liabilities as they are now. They're not considered baggage as they are now. Kids, women, and children were considered, they can help around the house, they can help and do chores and so forth. You could put them to work. So that wasn't that wasn't a liability like it is, or how we feel it is today. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. The brother saying, listen, man, then my wife, I love them. I'm staying with them on the plantation. All right. And this is my brother. Okay. This is my brother, but I'm staying with him on this plantation. You can look at situations like, and I hate to keep bringing them up, but straightway. If it was this, I ain't saying this, but y'all get what I'm saying. All right. Now, if the pastor there gives you a wife, and this is what y'all got to be careful of, getting in these organizations and getting these wives, and then feeling like you're stuck to this organization because, dang, he gave me a wife. I owe him. He gave me a wife. I had these beautiful children now, man. I owe him. And they'll try to get you. Some of these leaders will try to get you like that. Oh, man, I can't marry all of them, man. Hey, man, I'm gonna set you up with so and so, and then you get set up, and you get your nose open. You stuck. You might mess around and kill for this man. All right, and these things have been in all of these organizations. Mormons, darn the NOI. They can buy your loyalty with a woman. Whew. Somebody write that down. You can get they can buy your loyalty with a woman. But if that servant plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. Bring him to everybody. Let everybody see, man. Okay? Who the judges in Israel? Brothers want to sit back. Oh, I guess he had the Mashal Yasharala. But brothers just don't reverence you like that. You know, we have to ask, well, why don't brothers reverence you like that? And it's because, you know, we don't really see you. You know, that's how it works today. We got to see you in front of, you know, battling these apologists, battling certain people, showing that that you are among the wise. Not just because you've been in this thing for a long time. Like my dad was telling me this story about him, how he kind of messed up in the military. He did 20 plus years. But it was one point where he got in good with some of the higher ups, and he could pretty much do whatever he wanted to do. And they asked him, I said, man, what you want to do? Because they was finna get ready to go to Vietnam. He was like, where you want me to station you? What position you want? And he ended up getting a position where he was over the nightclubs. So he was in charge of the nightclub over there in Vietnam and these other places. He kind of did that. You know, his basically his whole career. And of course he didn't get the rank that he was supposed to get. You know, after 20 years. He didn't have that position. A lot of people were over him because he picked the easy job. And you can't just sit back and just think because you have the tender and you've been here 20 years that you're gonna have the rank. So that's just the point I want to. You got to go to battle. You got to be and if you're not those that's gonna be in the battle, you know, right now that ain't how you gonna get reverence. Even though you can definitely be good brothers, and you know, but I'm just telling you how this generation of Israelites think. All right. Let me it says, then the master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him to the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. All right. Your brother has to serve you forever. Why? Because your brother ain't gonna let you leave with your wife and kids. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maid servant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. So if you sell your daughter, she don't come back. Ain't no 6 years and then she gonna get off. You sell your daughter, she gone. She don't get to come back like the men do, like the men servants do. If she please not her master, who have betrothed her to himself, not a master, you done sold her to Brother Phoenix. You done sold your daughter to Brother Phoenix. And I got your daughter working around the house doing certain things. After a few years, you know, I'm like, man, I'm a betroth her. I'm a betroth her. All right. If she please not her master, and then she don't please me. And then after I said I was gonna betroth her, what does betroth mean? Are we married? Or like what's going on? What does betrothed mean? I betrothed her. All right, we can go into that word. And we may need some examples too. But we'll just go into the Strong's real quick. Let's look at some of the words. To meet by appointed, to gather, assemble by appointed, to fix, appoint, assemble, meet, set, betroth. To appoint, assign, designate, by implication, to meet, to summon, to direct, to engage for marriage, agree, appoint, assemble, betroth, gather. Anyway, it's, you know, we can glean from it that it means to be engaged. Okay, they're not fully married yet. All right, but we were betrothed. was gonna marry her, but then I'm like, she don't cook them eggs right. She don't cook the eggs right, man. And the lamb chops don't. She cut too close to the bone, and she ain't cutting the lamb chops. She can't butcher a lamb correctly. And so I don't want to mess with it no more. Verse 7. No, verse 8 again. If she please not her master, who have betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. What does that mean? If I don't want her no more, I can let her be redeemed. Meaning somebody from her family or somebody from Israel can come and buy her from me. That's what redeem means. Redeem means to buy. Someone will buy you and buy you out of your captivity. Or you redeemed something from the store. You bought it out of the store. We were redeemed with a price. We were bought from the Lord. We were bought with a price. We were redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation, he shall have no power. You can't sell her to another nation. You can't sell her to a heathen, though. You all in your feelings, and then you want to save her to. You want to do what the brothers did to Joseph. You didn't want to sell it to some heathen. No, you can't do that. You ain't got no power to do that, though. You ain't got no power to do that. And maybe Israel will have more, understanding that what happened, they'll have more grace on her, more mercy on her. Sell her to a strange nation, she shall have no power, seeing he have dealt with her deceitfully. How did he deal with her deceitfully? Where all my poly brothers at? All my poly worlds. How did he deal with her deceitfully? How did this master who was betrothed to this woman, not married yet, deal with her deceitfully by selling her off, or saying, hey, you don't please me no more, I ain't dealing with you. And even that point, that's even that saying, hey, I want to marry you, let's just set it up, and then you say, I ain't finna marry you. I ain't finna marry you. And the same thing happened with Joseph. Not that Joseph I was talking about, but the Messiah's father. He said, he was betrothed, and then he found out she was pregnant. He's like, man, wait a minute. I ain't dealing with that. I ain't finna deal with that, but I ain't gonna embarrass you. I'm just gonna, I'll put you to the side. We'll do that quietly. I'm not gonna embarrass you though, but I ain't finna deal with that. No, to the angel. Angel had to come comfort her. But here we gotta deal with that. He dealt with her deceitfully. Okay, verse 9. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. So now let's say this. Let's say, man, you know what? I don't want to deal with you, but I'm going to let you. No, matter of fact, we ain't even got to connect them, to be honest. But either way, I'm going to let you deal with my son. I'm going to let you marry my son. But you are a slave. You're not just no random woman I done paid. No. I bought you as a slave. You're already my possession. So I'm gonna let you marry my son. Now, if she marries my son, this slave girl marries my son, then I have to treat her as a daughter. I can no longer treat her as a slave. I now have to treat this woman as my daughter, as I would my daughter. She's not gonna be out there, slaving and doing all of that. You're not gonna be, my daughter gonna get married. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna give her some handmaidens. I'm gonna give her some maid servants to take with her. And we gonna get into that. We gonna talk about that. Because brothers don't want to talk about it. I'm sure, well, I ain't gonna speak. You know what I'm saying? Now let's say shoot back. Verse 10. If he, who's the he here? It's the master. If he take him another wife, okay, if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, who's the her here? The slave that he didn't want no more. The woman that he was betrothed to, not married, but betrothed to, but he was displeased. Now, if he's to take him another wife, her raiment, her food, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. He can't diminish those things. For who? For the slave woman that he dealt deceitfully with. If he takes another wife, I don't want to do, and you take another wife, or you done gave him to me, I done gave her to my son, and I go get another one. Whatever happens, her food, her raiment, her duty of marriage shall not diminish. It shall not diminish. Watch this. And if he do not these three unto her, then she shall go out free without money. Why? Why? She can just leave now and she ain't got to be redeemed because she's a slave. She ain't got to pay you to get out of her slavery or her bondage anymore. Did it say write her a bill of divorce? Do you need to give her a bill of divorce? And do she need to ask? What does she need to question you? No. You stop doing these things, she can leave. She's not under your jurisdiction no more. Because you're not doing these things because you told her that you was going to marry her. You said you was going to marry her. But you dealt deceitfully with her. And this is a situation of this. This is a situation of a slave woman being dealt with deceitfully. And how to render this situation. But is this a law on how to do poly the right way? I don't know about that, y'all. I don't know about that. But again, even if you want to do that, the question we had to come here to answer is, how much power does she have? How much power does this woman have? All right. She can go when she wants to. If you're going to use this and try to teach poly, she can go whenever she wants to. She can say, who's to say I ain't getting the same thing? I ain't being treated the way I used to be treated. Man, please. I guarantee you, them jokers have over 100 counsels on poly sisters talking about she don't look at me the way he look at the other sister. That's enough. One sister just walking around there just quiet, ain't saying, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why your face? Man, you getting everybody down. And I respect, who is that brother name? What's that brother name? It's a rapper, man. He in the poly worlds. And he displays his. He shows everybody. They all in the same house. And that's another thing too that we can't say they gotta be in different houses. I don't know where you getting these ordinances from and trying to make it seem anyway. But dang, what's that brother name? I can't even think of it, y'all. Anyway, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments, y'all. And y'all love sharing. Man, I wish I had that other. Let me see if I can find this darn video. Well, I'll do it another time. I'll save it for another time. But it's a video that a brother got about 8 wives. He got them all in the same kitchen and they cooking, they doing something. But we'll talk about that video another time. But that video has been out about 8-9 years. But it keeps getting recycled because brothers like, man, look how wonderful this looks. And it did look great. I ain't gonna flex. Like, it looked wonderful. All the sisters looked like they was okay. But if you look at it soberly, you know that, all those women can't live in that house. So it's probably a situation where they're from different places and then they came in for a feast day and whatnot. But it was peaceful. All right. And that's why people keep using it, because it did look like a great thing, But where's the follow-up? I want to see the follow-up. 8 years later, do we still got those sisters there? Following Yeshua, I done seen 3-4 sisters leave his house. Y'all watching these brothers, you see 3-4 sisters leave that brother house following Yeshua. He's still on here teaching and acting like he can just throw these sisters to the side, or these sisters can just leave. You know, y'all playing with this thing. So just be mindful, be careful with that. But if y'all using this, if he does not do these 3 unto her, then shall she go out free without money. So that sister feel a certain kind of way, she can get up out of there. Also, you know, again, to the sister saying, you know, how much control do we have? Leah and Rachel, those were her maid servants. That's why you have bridesmaids. Bridesmaids were a little thing. They're given with marriage. Back in those biblical times, when you was to get married, several examples in there. All of those sisters came with bridesmaids, with maid servants. So those sisters didn't have to work like that. They came with extra sisters. All right. And then it was those sisters that said, hey, sleep with my maid servant so we can have a child. You know, they gave him that permission. Leah and Rachel gave him that. Sarah and Hagar, that was Hagar's handmaid. That's why when it came back and the trouble ended up happening and she got in her feelings, you know, Abraham was like, man, you know, do as what you will, man. That's your darn maid servant. Do as you will, man. And I think even the Lord told him, man, you know, do what Sarah say. I had to go back and look at it, but y'all correct me if I'm wrong. But again, it was Sarah's idea that wife, and so y'all using these examples, but yeah, that wife was involved. That wife gave him that darn, gave him that other wife, and you can't ignore that. You can't just say, well, it didn't happen to, you know, it didn't happen to Jake. Well, no, I'm sorry. It didn't happen to darn David. It didn't happen like that way to Solomon. You know, and it didn't, but you can't throw that away. You can't just ignore that. So, you know, if y'all gonna play the game, make sure y'all mix that in too. Don't lie to these folks. And that's what I'm saying. That's what some of my issues come, is that, you know, jokers be picking and choosing. Nah, you eat the whole roll. Pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. Shalom. We'll see y'all on the next one.